I'm recording. All right, sorry, guys. All right, you ready, Chairman?
Well, start again. Okay. Um,
Back one.
for the calling to order the City of Olivet Economic Development Commission meeting for January 29th, 2024. Mr. Chair, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Patrick,
Here.
Vice Chairman Zelinski. Here. Commissioner Talbot.
Here.
All right, and I'll let, for the record, Ms. Jacobs and Mr. Moon are absent today. And also Mr. Talbot is attending via Zoom. And then we also have our council liaison, Councilmember Carl, via Zoom also, along with staff representatives Don Doty and Carlos Trejo.
All right, fantastic. And Carlos, do we have any public comments? Anyone online? Because I see that the chairs are not occupied tonight.
And Chairman, at this time, I do not see any comments. We've also been asked by the council to make sure that the attendees window is open throughout the meeting. And you'll have it there. I'll try to keep it at the bottom of the screen so it doesn't interrupt. But the 4 participants are actually the commission members.
All right, fantastic. Okay. All right, moving right along. Any updates on the comprehensive plan?
Yes, Ms. Doty's going to give a brief overview, or would you like?
Sorry, I hadn't planned on doing the comprehensive
Oh.
plan, but it is coming to a close. The full draft plan is available. Oh, thank you. The full draft plan is available on the website, the olivetcompplan.com. It is really, as far as public comment period goes, it is technically open until the next public hearing, which is February 1st, this week, Thursday. The comprehensive plan, you know, if you two have been, you know, closer to the comprehensive plan than a lot of the other Rod, you know, more so, but so I'd be happy to, you know, go into it, you know, in depth, or I'd be happy to gloss over it. I went back to the beginning with the slides of what a comprehensive plan process is and why we do it. Not just because it looks good on the resume.
Is it working done?
It is
hold on.
not.
It's because I have to have it. Okay, you should be set.
And what they are not. We always, as people have been reviewing the plan, it's the problems of the day are always top of mind. And so it's somewhat important to remind people that they are vision plans for what we want, you know, the direction we want our community to go to, not so much this is going to go here. It's not a land use plan. The 2006 comprehensive plan was a resounding success, as most of us are familiar. Olivet Boulevard within our borders has transformed within the last few years. The 2006 plan was enacted well before I started working here. But if you look at it now, you can see the sites that were featured have all been, you know, developed to date, and the new plan was definitely in order with the changeover of population. We wanted to
Jody, can I interrupt for just a second?
oh yeah.
I just want to say thank you to this commission who had a lot to do with implementing that 2006 comprehensive plan. So again, we appreciate your work. You have been a success. So thank you. Sorry.
No, that was a really great note. And I would like to direct you, as you review the final draft of the comprehensive plan, you'll note throughout the work that we have to do ahead of us with this plan, as it very clearly outlines the expectations of well, the planning to the planning commission for us, continuing the success that we've begun. With the changeover of population and the growth within our population, it was very important step to take the pulse of our population as it is, where we want to go. The pillars of the RFQ, this was what we based these were our core values at the beginning of the process. This is somewhat what we've already discussed, so I apologize. It's been a very long and process of review and public feedback, analyzing that public feedback, etc. What we have now, this is the basic outline, where we discuss, in the whole document. You've only seen the I guess you could say the summary pages thus far. These are the broad topics that are covered. And I can go into each one of these topics and the objectives. I don't know if Nate, if you've had any time to read the plan. We know Rod has had a limited opportunity, so I could just leave it to you to read the draft plan. As far as economic development goes, I can direct your attention to chapter 2, where it states most clearly our methodology going forward for attracting and retaining desirable businesses, how we're going to go about deciding what those desirable businesses are. So like you see a lot of, like, to me, that's a very full half of a sentence, right? It's a full bullet point, but that's because there are a lot of details in that final draft. Growing the tax base by attracting and retaining, we can do that. I am a part of the old school of economic development that 80% of your effort should be towards your retention and making your base happy, because you have to retain them year over year. Increasing workforce diversity also further explained in the document, but it's largely focused on encouraging private businesses to do their part to diversify their workforce, but also the city of Olivet diversifying its workforce, concentrating on its DEI, is a part of that. I mean, we have a whole chapter. In a way, it seems like it's really very quick. But economic development does have an entire chapter, and then land use focuses, there's a lot of economic development there because it has to do with the commercial corridor. From our 5-year economic development plan, oh, I'm sorry, was there any questions online? Okay, sorry, I thought I heard something. To examine what our businesses are, our last meeting where we discussed our business licenses, we really only had about 60% of our total businesses reporting at the time. And we did another mailing It took a little bit of research to figure out what businesses were here but had not renewed their business license. But once that was solved, we have a really powerful database now, with, an ever-growing amount of contact information. We've made a lot of inroads with businesses we'd lost touch with. It was largely because if they had fallen off, it was mostly or usually because of managers that had turned over, and that's why they don't work more in some of the cases. So it's been a great experience, really, of talking with the businesses. We are now up to 80%. So we have I really didn't have a whole lot of time to break down the businesses. We do have all our list of businesses for this last year and previous years, going back to 2014, on our website currently. So you can access the nitty gritty to these details. I wanted to give people a sense of what we were working with as far as our total businesses by industry. And although we have that nice number of registered businesses, which is greatly improved, the total businesses by industry are confirmed businesses, and it's our total business universe, as it will, not just the businesses that have registered. So that's why there's no employee count or anything on here. I just have what I actually know. And the quadrants I thought was a good visual because we're so evenly spread. When you consider our city as a whole, and I mean it's a very big part, is concentrated on Olive Boulevard for obvious reasons, but we're still well diversified. Any questions?
What's Dealman Price?
Dealman Price, that is Dealman Industrial Price.
Oh,
North
Dealman
Price.
Industrial, okay,
Yeah,
because they're parallel.
as distinct from Dealman Rock Island.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So it does get confusing. Anyway, so right on into the meat of the program for the evening, which are the Olivet Business Awards. We have an opportunity and we need to make decisions quickly if possible, because Creve Coeur Olivet Chamber, it has their award ceremony for businesses of the year. Creve Coeur Olivet Chamber currently has 4 different genres that they have winners for, and they all receive a small plaque at the award ceremony. Olivet currently does not have any businesses represented because we do not offer any businesses up. I took a crack based on Creve Coeur, based extremely closely on Creve Coeur's nomination form. I put together a survey, which I do not believe I have available for Commissioner Talbot and Council Member Carl. But in your packets, there are a couple of different options for the survey format. Creve Coeur's was largely a free format and free entry. By that, I mean that it's a text box with a business name, and then a multi-line text box with business qualifications. And that's the information that they collect. They also collect business address and the person who's nominating the business contact information. I did not think that the contact information for the individual nominating was consequential necessarily. And I also thought that we could take a different turn on it, and that would be to have more of like a social media where, or I should say, what's popular in social media, and that would be you can vote for the same business, or you enter the same business multiple times, and you can, it's however many you want to register, how many times you can click send, right? Or click submit. So those are, at least there are some formatting decisions, what we would like to see. We didn't want to put up a list of businesses that they could choose from. Carlos likes the idea of submitting your top 3 businesses. Through that gave some logic issues. So I have the format number 1 is kind of is more limited to the strict meat and potatoes of that business name and their qualifications. And then there can be a further add-on where it drills down that logic of only allowing the 3. It's very hard to show survey things in print format or on screen, so I apologize, Spencer and Greg, because it's just very hard to put on a presentation.
Carlos, why did you want them to nominate 3 people?
We looked at it just in terms of giving people that opportunity. I think part of the envision, Don, is that we would bring forth to the commission the top 10 or so, and then the commission would select the winner.
So they're just not nominating, they're also kind of voting as well.
Correct.
Okay, because it makes it just seem like nominating.
Well, and that was.
Because if I'm like, hey, I nominated this business, like, that's great. Then no one else may nominate them because someone else already nominated them. So I just think.
And that might be more of a correct term, that we're actually voting for your top 3 businesses.
Well, yeah, it does change it contextually.
Mhm.
If you do it more of the voting style as opposed to nomination style. So
I mean, we're probably not gonna get more than 10 or 15 anyway nominations,
Mhm.
right? So we might as well just let them all come in and get heard.
Sure.
As opposed to them doing any type of voting.
So
But
we.
it really shouldn't matter, because one person could nominate the same business 38 times and there's no guarantee they're gonna win, right?
right, it still comes down to the commission and what you choose. There are a number of qualifications that you can base your decision on. I made it a free text box for the nominator, but when it comes down to, oops, I don't know why that printed that way. I apologize for the blank pages. And then I lost my train of thought. Our qualifications would be based more internally on, their good standing in the community, how they, if they participate in things like the turkey trot, do they keep their grounds a mess? Do they get constant complaints from,
Mhm.
like, so there are a number of subjective, orders that we would be able to explore.
Would they have to be a paying member of a business license?
I would recommend that. I had also had ideas of, so whenever I did similar work for the city. We had to verify them as a registered business with the Secretary of State. They had to have their real estate, taxes paid, that type of stuff. That's very easy for us to verify,
Okay.
in an armchair sort of way. So, those are qualifications that we can explore.
And the main thing is that they have to be within the city limits of all that.
Yes. We're not going to nominate or we're not going to elect a winner of a Creve Coeur or a U City business.
And you'll also, this is going to be an online tabulation. So you'll be able to build a database from the people submitting their nomination / vote. And I'm thinking more or less vote. So
Yeah.
you'll be able to, record things like IP address,
Yep.
time of day, when it's, so you can see if if the nominations are like 3 seconds apart, you'll
Oh,
be able to see if there was someone
Yeah.
clicking send.
yeah,
And yeah, that may or may not be a factor, but it's something that could be recorded.
right. Yeah. Well, and I feel like the format, like if we go with the free form format, even though we're restricting the multi-line text to 140 characters, it's still something that's kind of hard to just like copy and paste within a short amount of time. You know what I'm saying? Like you just don't sit there and click vote.
Well, the other thing is that if it is free form, it's not necessarily comparative from one vote to another.
That's where the quantitative bit comes in. It would be quantitative based on the name, and that would be sensitive to any spelling errors. We'd have to quality check, at least the business name. It's one of the reasons we took the business address out of there because, we don't want people are not going to look up the business address. They're not going to know it. We don't really want them, looking it up. We're going to look it up anyway.
Right, so we're basically tasked with deciding tonight which version we like.
Well, or more so, this is what's possible. What do you actually want to see? I can do, consider the first page. And I don't know, is there any way we
Yeah,
can show them online?
I don't know, do you have it on a,
I do have it on the SharePoint,
okay,
I believe. Or can I drive?
yeah, but you'll have to.
All right.
Oh, yeah, you should be, because you're a co-host.
Yeah, let me try to open the file and get that.
Because I'm kind of the volition here, so we
Sorry,
don't know what
guys.
we don't know. And it's kind of like, let's just try it. You know what I mean?
Move fast and break things.
That's right. All right, Elon.
Who's really opposed?
I think that was Zuck.
Oh, was it Zuck? It was, okay. One of those two guys. I get it confused all the time. So Don, the first one was basically a rendering of the Creve Coeur Olivet Chambers methodology.
Duplication.
Duplication, okay, that you said it. And
So,
it seems to be working for them. I guess the thing is, have you talked to them saying, hey, do we have problems with this, or it's easy, or they like it, or that it needs changing?
I was surprised. I think the first time I took a crack at it, I actually had a list of the businesses. And then when I looked at theirs, because of the free text format, that's the the spelling errors, that's,
Correct.
you know, that's where it all goes off the rails, right? And a multi-line text for the qualifications, while that's very kind in a data collection sort of way, it's not analytical whatsoever and not what I would appreciate.
Mhm.
But it's following their format, and also like the wording at the top. Oh, I do have it up, and I will start sharing my, it took forever to open, apologize. Let me get this up for them. All right, so welcome. Here we go. The verbiage was kind of stolen from them as far as like the, although customized, sorry, the to be eligible nominees must be located in the city, open for business and in good standing. That's Creve Coeur's language. And the one award category not eligible to win in the same award 2 consecutive years, that can be tossed out entirely. That's not, you know,
Oh, it's a good idea.
not a standard that I put together, or anything. But it seemed like it worked, like you said, what works for them. It's clearly something, you know, it's not something that they've changed, you know, year over year. So. Also, like winners will be recognized. I didn't put a date on, that, it just says May 2024. And Creve Coeur's nominations are due by March 1st. That's another reason for the, I mean, obviously with it in May, we need time to, you know, consider, gather the data, distribute it to y'all and group. But we could push that further, or to whatever day we decide or works with our meeting schedule. That's based on Creve Coeur's meeting schedule and not ours at all. So,
And this could be promoted through our social media director.
yes, and our newsletter, and various, whatever we can do. We have the screen up front. We're not gonna do, you know, flyers or anything like that.
Mhm.
Not anything extra.
Mhm.
But all of our powers.
Okay,
Oh,
so
and I'm sorry, I'll keep scrolling for the gentleman online. Oops. This was the first format, and that separated it into the Business of the Year and Restaurant of the Year award. Where, I'm sorry, this is. I also had the, where, you know, I got fancy with the mapping as I want to do, so I had it. But Carlos is like, you know, we've got to look that up anyway. And I had to put the business website in there, which again, we don't really need that. In order to do a webhook, though, the one piece of information that I have collecting for the nominator is the email address, and that would send them like a thank you for submitting email optionally. So if they put their email address in there, then they will get a webhook, which is a fun little way of saying email or automatic email. I recommend, so I'm kind of backtracking here. Creve Coeur has 4 categories. They include things like Innovator of the Year, a Heart of the Community, Green Business. For our inaugural year, I would recommend Business of the Year and Restaurant of the Year. I also tend to think that Business of the Year, if you have like 8 of them, it waters it down quite a bit. So,
I think keeping it simple, this first go around.
yeah, what do you think about the restaurant? Yeah, that way
Enough
it's,
to have. some competition.
yeah. I don't
For
want
what
to.
it's for what it's worth, I just came from a chamber award dinner on Friday night for one of my the company that I represent. We have an office in several boroughs, but they separated it out like this, and it is probably good because a business like you know there's a lot of restaurants, and then you have your separate sector of businesses. I think it gives the others a fighting chance for recognition. So I actually kind of like this idea as well
Yeah.
of separating them.
I do agree. Restaurants do somewhat overshadow
Yep.
other very great businesses.
No, right, and I think that's a real valid point, because all of a sudden your lawn sprinkler company or your mechanical contractor aren't necessarily high up on the list. Restaurant, easy,
Yes.
easy pickings, low hanging fruit.
It's hard to love the tax guy as much as you like your favorite drink in town. Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
right.
And then the thank you page is just something that it is reiterative of all of the language that you've seen before. These are, whatever details we decide upon will be, permeated throughout the whatever, or the resulting document. But that is essentially what after you click the submit button, even if you did not put your email in to get your automatic email response, you will see a thank you page. And then if you did put your email in, you have webhooks, and there are two different kinds, and of course, so customized
Okay,
business of the
well,
year
I tell you
restaurant.
what, you've given us a pretty good presentation of a couple of ideas here, and I guess it's up to us to choose one.
And some language to go with it.
Language to go with a
Yeah.
motion or are you looking for a motion? Is that what we're looking for?
No, not necessarily. I
Yeah.
think.
No,
An agreement saying,
I
yeah,
don't
a
know.
discussion.
it, yeah. I mean, I like either one. It really doesn't matter. I mean, I think that keeping it fairly simple, not getting too much into the weeds here. You don't want to confuse too many people either. Let's just try it.
Okay.
And see what happens. One question, do you know how many responses the Olivet Chamber gets?
Creve
Creve
Coeur.
Coeur, yeah.
I did not ask that. It would be very interesting though, to see what it is. And that's whenever I was, imagining all these things, typing away at the computer. That's where the voting thing kind of came into mind. I was like, there's not going to be 300 responses, and if
Oh, you
there
never
was,
know.
but if there was, how cool would that be?
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
yeah, I mean, well, that's what you kind of strive for, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, and maybe my, head's getting too big, but, I do think that would be awesome. If we pulled off something that, gained traction like that.
Anyways, Nate, do you have any comments at all? And
Oh, don't
a
forget your
direction?
microphone.
I think all we need is, so the two categories. And we just need to collect the name of the business and some nice flowery language from the nominator. That's all we need.
Okay.
Cause, and then you could, if you wanted to, on the thank you page, you could say you may nominate up to 3 businesses and link them back to the beginning of it if they want to nominate another person as well.
Okay. There is an automatic, that is with the logic, part that I was mentioning. There is a way to control that and, cycle it back, basically that 3 times. So,
And then I think we're voting?
Yeah, we'll bring you
Okay.
the results and then you
Well,
guys.
they're
will
not the results, though, they're the nominations.
The nominations.
So I think
Right.
we need to think about at least somewhat of a rubric to evaluate and like. The number of times someone's nominated or some of their information can be part of the rubric, but to your point, it's like, are they good citizens of the city? That could be part of our rubric. Do they pay their taxes?
Mhm.
We need to have some type of rubric in case we get called to
We
the
can
carpet
follow.
about why we picked this person, you know?
Yeah,
And so it doesn't have to be like scoring and all this, but these are the things we considered. But I do think we just need to tell people, this isn't voting, this is nominating, or we have to call it voting. It's one of the two, because they could vote. You could have someone do a write-in campaign and a salon could get 3,000 votes and then we could be like, but they don't pay their taxes. We're not gonna give it to them. And you got this weird like,
I sense an electoral college happening here.
Yes.
well, if it's not, it's either voting or not voting.
No,
I'm, yeah.
you're
I'm just-
right, you're
I just want
right.
people to understand what they're doing.
I would, yeah, I'm gonna look into that contextually and see what the best language to use, you know, as far, because I do want people to understand that they are giving us a suggestion.
You're saying nominate up to 3 of your most favorite businesses. That's what a nomination is. Like, a nomination is not a
We-
vote per se.
We might change it to recommend,
Right,
a recommendation. That way you can recommend a number of people.
right,
Nomination's kind of final.
yeah,
A vote is
Okay.
final.
okay.
Yeah.
Cause like, even on Fancy or whatever, those TV shows where you vote, like, you can win the vote, but the judges, they have the final say, right?
Which show is this?
I don't watch any of them.
All right.
She's referencing the likes of all of the talent shows on like, you know, like The Voice or something.
Right.
American Idol back in the day. You call in a vote, but
That is probably the last
Well, I'll
one
tell you
that I
what.
saw.
yeah.
I tell you what, as long as there's some sort of a precedent, I think we should go that way then. That's good. And it's a well-known precedent, then,
Okay.
even though it may not be known by everyone.
Well, then I can put in the language, I can make it more clear in my language.
Your language is clear. You're nominating people. I just think. Like Carla, when you say nominate up to 3 people, we were starting to think of this as like voting. Like it clearly says nominate someone, and that just means you're putting someone's name in the hat to be considered to me. That doesn't confuse it to voting. I think
Okay.
we were
Yeah,
confusing it
okay.
to voting. We were gonna say, oh, if 30 people come in and this person got 50 votes, they're gonna win.
Right.
But they're
That's
not,
yeah,
because, yeah.
that's a good point.
Oligarchy.
Right. Okay, so we have some direction then?
Yes.
You-
As far and I'll look at the timeline to see if March 1st works
I mean,
for us the same exact way it works for Creve Coeur.
Try to figure out, we have a
Probably
March
not.
meeting, which would be the 4th Monday.
We'll probably bring them somewhere like on our March, if we always meet towards the end of the month, the end of March.
So give yourselves a couple of weeks to contabulate, so you could go all the way to the 15th if you needed to, or something like that.
Yeah,
Correct, because what would happen is tomorrow, the drafts are required to be submitted for the March newsletter. The March newsletter is going to go over the election and information like that, and that probably won't hit mailboxes till about, hopefully by March 1, if not March 15. It's just going to note that there's a short window, but we'll have social media push this out as soon as we have this set in place. We'll probably have to close it sometime by the end of March, come back to the commission for this election, and then do the next step in April. We have to come up with what are we gonna award
mhm,
the winner with.
yeah.
Oh, that's fine, yeah. And I think that we don't necessarily have to wait to see what you come up with in terms of a form. I think we've had enough discussion here to for you to go ahead and just do what you need to do, put it out there and get it going.
That was the hope. And you know, if you're generally okay with this, you know,
Yeah.
type of format, seems to be at least tried and true, and we'll see this year how it goes, and
Sure.
we can, this is, you know, one of many types of forms to make. And as far as the rubrics go for each nominee, the way I see it coming across is there being like or the output would be by company where you would get to see everything that was received, but also our research on them, if they have paid their taxes, what they have to make them in good standing or not. And they may, because they don't have a business license, you know, we got, you know, 100 nominations for these guys. We love them, but, and we can also use that as an intro to say, get yourself up to date, you know,
Mm,
how easy would that be? You're loved in our community.
right. Okay, I think we're good on that then.
That's exciting.
Thank
Great.
you for your feedback.
Sure, it's good. Good presentation, appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
Carlos, we kind of hit a few things here. We had comprehensive plan update, 5-year economic plan, and we kind of skipped into business communications there. So was there anything on 5-year specifically, or?
Yeah, no, there was nothing specifically on the 5-year plan. The 5-year plan, it's an update on the current state of business licenses. So I
Okay.
didn't mention it I get so nervous talking to you guys. I really do.
Yeah, we're
So-
rough, we're tough. That's us, yeah.
So I did not mention the agenda items specifically as I was going through them. But we are all the way through to other business, unless Carlos,
Actually,
you
we
had
had,
anything?
one thing is, I guess,
Oh.
individual outreach, we haven't done that in a while.
Oh, yeah.
The only thing I can add was I had a really nice conversation with Pauline Sella. And she gave me a little tour of the new addition to Plant Havens, the greenhouse type structure out back. Really quite impressive. If you haven't been there, I'd highly recommend just having a look at it. And so far, my wife's been a very loyal customer with client gifts, etc. So she loves the place. So
Excellent.
It's hard not to shop there.
apparently, yeah. Right. Anyone else have any input or? This is, I guess it's morphed into sort of like an informal sort of, hey, if you talk to anybody sort of thing. In the
And
last
that
month.
our communications manager, Kiana Fleming, and I went that first week of January to Rebel Cup to celebrate his 1-year anniversary there. So, you know, they're busy as can be.
Right. And I guess I understand that it's maybe jumping the gun, of course, but there's some new businesses that were announced as of in the Business Journal had an article
And the Post.
on Mr. Howitz's development and
Oh, now you're jumping through to
I know,
reports.
okay. You know, I'm probably blowing the you know, the wind out of Mr. Carl's sails here. So I will
Well,
skip over and I will
On
go.
that note, just
Yeah.
because about the communication. So
Yeah.
I was fortunate to have the opportunity to be a speaker at a certificate program sponsored by UMSL in there, where they have a lot of planning and zoning administrators, whether they're council members, you know, regular planners, students, and all that. It's an 8-week course in there, and they had invited me to speak at the beginning. So it was going to be really neat to start this introduction and all that, but the main speaker was sick, so they put us last, and then it ended up being Zoom. But the core thing that I tried to express to them, and going back to the 2006 comprehensive plan to the current plan, was, you know, there was a lot of frustration, you know, exhibited in the community regarding a lack of identity. You would go under I-170 and you wouldn't know that you went from U City to Olivet, or that you got into Creve Coeur. you know, back then. So the whole focus of the initial plan was to improve the Olive Corridor and our industrial parks. We had the old Timekeepers building, we had the vacant Ponderosa, the tear down of the Burger Chef Hardee's and all that. So it was just and then the old interchange. And the key thing of this plan was to work on our identity, to create a character for our community, which we call the dynamic sense of place. So people know when they're all in all of that. And I believe we were very successful. You know, we listed everything that plan did. And then even the strength of our industrial parks, it's hard to find space, even though I'll talk about this later. In the industrial parks, they're very well occupied in there. So what I was explaining in the presentation is like, we hit this thing that you know, all of a sudden we noticed people, you know, articles and whether it was in the Journal or the Post-Dispatch or one of the news, the TV news is that, you know, Latch moving to Olivet, you know, Paddle and Pickle, Olivet location. And that was the thing that we were striving to try to do. Before, everybody was, you know, Shanko in the middle of you know, on Olive Boulevard between I-170 and Lindbergh. And we were trying to get past that hump where people recognize our community. I think we did that successfully, especially even like with what you saw on the Journal, where they were saying, you know, they were talking about Olivet's Olive Crossing. It wasn't just Olive Crossing or St. Louis County or anything like that. So there's references to where, you know, they can state the name and you know where our community is. And that was the success in this. And of course, this next plan is about that we built this identity that now people feel included or inclusive, and we're now building on community. You know, so we've shifted this from identity to the building of community, because people now are proud, you know, to identify with us, you know, with Olivet and all that. So just wanted to note that, because I think it was it's pretty neat to hear, especially as they were talking about the Smoothie King and the Paris Baguette. You know, it's like, you know, they're in Olivet, you know, they're referencing Olivet, and that's
No,
what
it's a
we're
good
striving
take.
for.
Actually, thanks for sharing that. That was actually very interesting. Yeah.
Don't forget our playground made it into the list of best children's playgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
What was
That's
that?
right.
It was.
STL Moms, it's a pretty popular website, and like social media that they sent out some kind of thing about it being a really safe and great place to be, and then it got, yeah, accelerated virally.
Oh, nice. Nice. Interesting. Okay. Let's see here. Discussion items, business awards. Okay. Other business.
You do have a set of meeting minutes that Mr. Coswell put together. I'd ask to defer those, given that it's just you two are the only ones that have seen
Yeah,
it.
that's
Spencer
fine.
doesn't have a copy. So
Yeah, we'll have a look at it next time.
we'll email those out. Sorry about that.
That's fine. Okay, and reports.
A couple of things, just trying to write where to start, because there was quite a bit, so it's somewhat organized. So regarding businesses, you know that Virginia Tile had vacated about 40 and a 30,000 square foot warehouse area right next to Enterprise Bank, or the Enterprise Fleet. And they were a very good sales tax generator. Hate to see them go, but they were consolidating, and the facilities were moving to Kansas City in there. So you know, and we've heard the things with the market, especially on the office side and the industrial side too, being kind of oversaturated. But was proud to say that you know, it was probably listed maybe for about 4 months, and it's now getting fully occupied. And that's impressive, I think, given some of the economic conditions. So it consisted of 2 buildings. One building that's on the east side, which had the showroom for Virginia Tile, is getting converted. It will be a high-end marble countertop user. I don't have the name. I should have written down in there, and they pulled permits for that space. It's a good 40,000 plus square foot space with docks in the rear and all that. And then the additional space next door that was 30,000 square feet will be a high-end cabinet maker. So we'll get some manufacturing going, coming back.
Are these
Uh,
new
place.
businesses or relocated?
Relocations.
From,
Hard to say. I can find out. Good question. I should have checked in.
I'm just always curious when people
Mhm.
choose.
And they're associated with PK Construction and Stonebridge, or I've got the manufacturer that's just right behind our building. And there, so they had like some synergy.
Okay.
The owner knows and advocated for their locations there. So that was great.
Mhm.
Now next door, of course, we have Enterprise. And they also consolidated space and mostly now in the Clayton area, given with the pandemic and working from home. The peak or the pinnacle, they probably had over 12,000 employees there.
1,000 or
So
100?
1,200, I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry.
That's a lot of people. Yeah.
And but they started with about, they usually were consistently about 850 employees there. During the pandemic, it was, you saw, you didn't see many cars there.
Yeah.
And it never just came back. I think that's 140,000 square feet. Really nice interior for what was once a carburetor factory. So, it'll be interesting. We haven't had a discussion with the broker yet, but we'll be approaching them to see, what is the interest, and it'd be ideal to find a big anchor for that, or somebody that takes the whole space. But that's gonna be hard, and I hate to see the space subdivided. But we'll see.
So it is vacant now, though,
Yes.
as of,
I'm gonna say about November.
okay.
We never
Oh.
talked about, but the US Bank building,
Yeah.
Mhm.
was anyone ever in there?
Yes,
Okay,
It's
but
still a
that was
call
same
center.
story though, right?
yes.
Like they
but-
can't have that many people there at this point. I'm just
Correct.
surprised they're still holding on to that.
Well, and that goes back to, I mean, it was Mark Twain's call center, Mark Twain Bank. It's
Yeah.
gone through several names and it's US Banks now. It's still one of their core areas for, I thought their mortgage checks and all that apply there or take place there.
Really?
They have about 300 to 400. They've been pretty consistent through time. I don't know what they had on the latest business license, Don. Do you know? I typically they won't fill it out. They're the ones that send a check and then that's it. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, don't say, they've got a large parking lot and
Yes.
probably about a quarter
Mhm.
filled.
Yeah.
But that's fine.
You might want to mention we renamed Enterprise.
Yeah.
Way.
Yeah, when Enterprise moved in, we renamed a segment of street on their behalf, Enterprise Fleetway, I believe it was. And now that they're gone, the council, I don't know, did you revoke or just rename and it's now Alice Place?
It's just Alice Place. It just extends Alice Place.
So. And going on businesses, so Paddle and Pickle should be up in within the next couple of weeks. I know they're scrambling. They were hoping to get a January opening, but I think there's still a couple of.
So how many courts do they have there?
I think they're 8 and 8.
How many?
8 and 8, so a total of 16, like
16,
8.
okay. I heard it,
Adele,
incredibly large number.
Yeah.
And I thought that didn't make any sense. So, like 16, that would,
It's a really nice interior facility. Latch is working on their permit right now. We've issued them occupancies for their warehousing and they're working on their administrative areas. And there, so that'd be great next door. The Dance Academy should be also looking to open next week. They're relocating, of course, from the east side of Olive to the west side there where the old Tuesday morning was. And then Cherry Berry, which is a fine printers publisher. They're relocating from Ladue, I believe it's Ladue Crossing, to where the old Alzheimer's facility was across the street from the mobile station. So they're
I was really
a
surprised
great
at their
company.
employee size.
Yes.
It's pretty impressive.
now they're, you say they're printer of,
Yeah,
Hi.
they do,
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
High-end stationery,
Okay.
invitations and things like that.
so
Highly regarded as well.
good.
On the permit side, had a discussion with Mr. Valentine regarding Great Heart as he's working through his liquor license applications and all that with the state. They hope to have permits in by March. Again, working with them, and again, kind of the collaborative approach, you know, we've allowed them to, we've issued some demos so they can do some cleanup and get things ready as their architect starts preparing the plans. In that, I guess, the Plant Haven was using that space for some storage, especially during the holidays. They've actually rented additional space in Dealman Rock Island. So that, you know, they're busting at the seams too now, so, and that's great that they're doing good. Audi, we had a meeting with representatives for Audi. They plan to submit sometime by March in there. They hope to get plans to MSD the next week. I was hoping they were a little further than that. And again, we offered that, you know, we would work with them if they wanted to work on the shell while, you know, some of the engineering work was going through. We would try to facilitate that. Their goal is to open sometime early 2005. Ours is hopefully we can get them open before the end of the year. So we'll see.
Is there something going on in Ray's Donuts?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay. It looked like there was stuff inside.
There's
of it.
this, well, on that opposite end is the
No,
dance.
actually in Ray's Donuts, it looked like there was
Yeah.
stuff inside. There was lights on one there. Maybe
Hmm.
I'll look at it again.
And I gotta think on those spaces, because you have the central liquor, then the kicking crab is at the
Yeah,
back
but
end.
The in between is Ray's Donuts, but it's Taekwondo, so you have the liquor place, then you have like this weird shaped long, and then the kick and crab.
Yeah.
There's a
Then,
space
so,
in between the liquor and kick and crab.
and then the space that had the optometrist, which I think was next door to Domino's, like then the
Yeah.
space over, because somebody is going into that space, so I
Well,
don't
that's where
know.
the Asian grocer is now, isn't it?
Yeah,
Oh, that was where the vet was. Veterinarian?
But there was
The
a,
optometrist was over by, he was beside the dry cleaner and the.
no, not
salon.
that far in on that side.
The eyewear loft.
Yeah,
that
I
we're
thought he
talking
was
about?
more closer by Central Liquor, like right by Domino's. But you're right, the vet was there.
Yeah, because I remember that when he closed,
Yeah, I mean, everything was.
yeah, just shut right down.
so-
That was right.
Yeah, I thought so.
It was by the cleaner?
Yeah.
See, maybe then I'm thinking of the space that you're thinking is where the new optometry place may be going. I'll look at
Oh,
the
there's a
addresses.
new optometry place going.
Yes, and I was thinking they were going in the same space,
Oh, okay,
so I may be completely off.
okay. Yeah,
So,
True Vision.
True Vision, is that
true,
is it a like franchise or national chain? Okay.
Yeah.
lot 3 at Olive Crossing, you saw, you kind of referenced the Paris Baguette and the,
All these,
no,
Smoothie
the Smoothie King. Now, we've issued the building permit for that back in November. We're waiting for the developers to start getting and moving on that, and we keep nudging. There's no reason why they haven't started, no reason on our end that they haven't started on that work. And so, all
Yeah,
these we
any-
kind of talked about.
Yeah, any, once they get going, how long do you think it'll take?
It's a shell, so, you know, 6 months, 6 to
Okay.
8 months to get the shell.
And
in
this
place,
is, this
then
is the
tenant
building,
finishes.
this is the building that would be adjacent to the call it a water feature, I guess?
Yes, to the ramps, yes.
Okay,
mhm.
yeah, and the ramps, yeah.
So, and then this week, no, actually it was last week, we received the application and electric plans for what's now being called Irvington Place Apartments. And that's the 208 unit apartment complex that's behind the CVS and Chevy's between Price and Hilltop. So that is in, and we're going through in that process of reviewing it. Now that's a pretty extensive building.
Mhm.
We're gonna do it in-house and that's gonna take some time, so.
What, since, no, that's the electrical plan, you say?
No, this is the building plan,
The building plan, okay.
Mhm.
All
side
right,
and building, so,
okay, so this is their initial go around,
yep,
okay. So probably start date.
April,
probably
May.
The fall, maybe
No, I would
early
think
next-
a lot sooner than that,
sooner than that, okay, good.
so. And I think that kind of covers it. There's been some work with the Great Rivers Greenway. They've started work in the Indian Meadows Park for that extension. They're still working on the extension between Chevy CVS to Dealman. That's going well. We have a meeting about one of the properties in there, but they're in the process of acquiring the railroad right away, and that does take some time. I don't anticipate construction on that one probably till, either late 2025 or 2026.
And it's gonna squeeze behind those houses in Indian Meadows on the railroad tracks?
Mhm.
Okay.
And so they have the space.
Yeah.
It'll be pretty neat, and it will be a pretty impressive trail that goes around there.
So this is, there's drainage there too. Is that on the south side of the drainage?
Yes,
Which is
between
River
the
Bear.
drainage, are you referring like to the River de Pear?
Right, yeah.
That channel, yeah. So it's nestled in Indian Meadow Park is kind of buffered between that drainage and the actual homes along there.
So
and-
currently it's abandoned railway,
No, it's ours. It's part of our park
but
property.
it was, okay, right,
And no, it was never, not that I'm aware.
okay.
Now, the side on this end, on this side of Dealman, between Dealman and I-170, that is abandoned.
Oh, right,
And maybe that's where you're confused.
that's right, okay,
Don, anything else you?
I do not.
okay. Mr. Carl, you're up.
Well, I don't know. It seems like people pretty much covered everything.
We should let him go first sometime.
Yeah, that's right. So one of these days.
I'm fine with it. I'm fine with this. I'm fine with this. So the only thing is, the strategic plan hopefully will wrap up this Thursday, and that will give Carlos some more time to start executing on the strategic plan, and we should start seeing progress, I think, probably by July. So, that's all I have to say.
Oh, and I guess the storage facility, I see that that's moving on. It's still moving along fairly rapidly, I guess. They got
Mhm.
some siding up. When do they anticipate any retail establishments, and do you know
They
if
are
they've
currently
actually?
working with two retailers
Okay,
in there. I can't disclose at this time. One of them is really close and hoping that they get this and set. It would be an eating establishment in there, which is what we were trying to advocate for. One
great.
of the
Would
tenant
they,
spaces.
would they be new businesses or relocations?
It would be a second business in the region.
Okay, good,
So
interesting.
Mhm.
We'll wait to hear.
excited about it.
Okay. Well, if there is nothing else, anyone have anything else to add?
No one online.
Spencer, anything? Nope. All right, well, with that, I think we
All right.
are complete and we shall adjourn.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Mr. Carl,
everybody.
Mr. Talbot.
Thanks. Happy New Year, everybody.
You guys.
Thank you, guys.
Seeing you.